your brother. Is this thing working? Take 5. It's working. I haven't had any issues. Just warming my voice up, you know. Welcome back. Recent Vinyl Finds Part 2. Some of this goes back 2 Saturdays ago now, and then found a couple other items this past Friday. So, kind of a mixture of things. Genres kind of vary in this one, so let's dig in. Starting off with this one, we're going to go 2 Saturdays ago, like I said. And this one's pretty special, man. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, a little glimpse of what this sounds like, because there are no YouTube clips as far as I've researched, and on Discogs barely has a reputation, and this is just kind of a blind pick I spotted 2 Saturdays ago. This is Arie Anderson and The Force. Apparently some Chicago-based band and artist. Looking at that cover right away, I was like, there's got to be something. Maybe a bar band, you know, just looking at those outfits and their poses there, and him exposing himself with his trench coat. I don't know what's going on. But according to Discogs, it says it came out in 1980. To me, it kind of sounds more like circa 75, 77, around there. But who knows? It's on a very small label, Impala Records, which released a few things. According to Discogs, a few singles back in the 60s. But it's pretty close to being private press. So if you guys know Steve Krakow, Plastic Crime Wave, he's a kind of the guru when it comes to just, you know, he published articles for the longest time now, The Secret History of Chicago. And I asked him when I picked this up, you know, 2 Saturdays ago, if he was familiar with this artist or the band, and even he was kind of stumped. Didn't really know any of these artists, but he did a little bit of investigating on Facebook, and turns out some musicians or friends were friends with one of the band members here, maybe one of the guitar players from the Chicago region. And yeah, it doesn't seem to be any info online or anything, but I was kind of hinting towards this in the last Vinyl Finds video, and I said this is definitely one that could use a Noble Records exclusive, man. This is one that I feel like I'm kind of unearthing here on the YouTube platform, and according to Discogs, there's no sale history. Very few people added it to their want list. On PopSpsych, there's only 3 listings that sold on eBay back for like 20 bucks. So it's an enigma for sure. But musically, man, I haven't heard it since I got this actually, but my first spin through it, this is very good. A lot of you guys will really enjoy this, and hopefully I will spotlight this in the near future on a future live stream. It'll be an album spotlight, and you'll get a little first glimpse of what this all is about. And then I'll eventually upload some highlights from here, because there's definitely some, probably at least 4 very strong tracks on this, including the first 2 tracks, Mountain Trail and Swing and Miss. And then on the flip side, there's a song called Flip Side on side 2. But the track Beg, Steal, or Borrow was another big one. It was almost like kind of a proto-metal meets hard rock, but still kind of lingering in that mid-70s kind of range. And the guitar tones on this are really crunchy too. That's what really gives it that sort of fringy edge to it that I really look for when it comes to these like kind of, you know, low budget hard rock kind of scenes. And some of the songwriting kind of reminded me, maybe doesn't sound like necessarily, but reminds me of like the Truth and Janies and the George Brigmans out there. So I'm not trying to hype this up too much, but this is seriously a special item here. And the fact it landed in Lincoln, of all places. And I got evidence online, man. Paid 12 bucks for this. And it's the same spot that I picked up the Heaven record at for 15 bucks, you know, years ago. So it's not my go-to shop, but when I go in, I mean, who knows how long this has sat in there too. It's a nice little discovery. So Arie Anderson and The Force, and I think the album's called Oleo. It's doing this whole crossword thing, crossword puzzle type of text here. So yeah, Really cool. And after that one, let's dive into some cheapies here. So I definitely once again rated the $2 to $4 bins and came out with some stuff. And this was at my go-to shop, Vintage Vinyl. He's always kind of sneaking some goodies in the $4 bins. So this is Andy Roberts and Everyone, or With Everyone. I think in the US, that's how it's titled. But in the UK, overseas where he's from, I think it's a UK artist at least. It's released under Everyone, as though that's the band name. So I'm not really sure. It's a little confusing there as far as the listings are concerned. Promotional copy on Ampex. This came out in like 72 or 71, around there, early 70s. Coming from like a progressive meets sort of light jazz rock styles here. Sort of on the cusp of like, you know, when the prog movement was sort of exploding around this time. But it's also got some very singer-songwriter type of notations or hints and within this record, but with just a lot of backing on this one as well. Besides just the four members pictured here, you got like mellotron, some harmonica, vibraphone, violin, lots of acoustic elements on here, but it kind of rocks out in a couple moments, I think. Again, I've only listened to this once, but just looking at the whole thing, I thought, there's probably something I can cherry pick out of here. And there's a couple great tracks. Don't Get Me Wrong was a highlight. And then Radio Lady. It's kind of a more cosmic sort of folk sound to it, folky atmosphere. And then I think the last track, This Way Up, kind of a lengthier track. And this is also, I think it was like the hard rock number. I forget now, but those two I mentioned prior to that are definitely the highlights here, I think. And Andy Roberts, I knew that name. I think his first solo record doesn't have like a dog on the cover or something. It's been a while since I've listened to it, but definitely a well-known name, and he's done a lot of things apparently. So $4, white label promo, and I think you can still find this for about, you know, $5 to $10. And I was kind of surprised to see this in there. So a little bit of a genre switch here. This is one that my college buddy's been kind of warming me up to, some sort of more, I mean, I've always been into like the kind of rural country rock stuff, especially lately. But he's also been kind of getting into like power pop, and then I'm sort of warming up to the bigger artists like Big Star. And then this is obviously one of the ones that's sort of been reevaluated and people have loved. Dwight Twily Band. Twily Don't Mind? Yeah. This came out in like the mid-70s, I think, right? 77 on Arista. I've always kind of liked that label. But yeah, this is, like I said, I think it's had a little resurgence. Maybe it was semi-popular at the time. I forget where this guy's from, but I know he's passed on since then. Or I think he passed away like last year. It's pretty recent. But pretty nice copy here. It's a used copy. And I didn't realize these were going for so cheap. I mean, I figured something of this quality would go for, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks. And maybe it does, I don't know. But of course, some standouts on here. Looking for the Magic, of course, is a very catchy hook on here. And again, I've only listened to this once, but I do remember loving that track and the track on the B-side, Sleeping. I think it's the longest track on here. It's like 6 minutes long. It's kind of nice that he's warming me up to some power pop, because it's a genre that I like the idea of it, but again, I'm sort of particular when it comes to what I want to hear. And yeah, glad to pick it up. And then this one also came from this is actually from the miscellaneous section. I was kind of looking at some compilations. I thought maybe there'd be some cheap, you know, Pebbles comps or something, because I've seen some there in the past. But I didn't even look at the title of the compilation. I just saw some of the artist names, and I'm like, what is this? And this is the Immediate A's and B's, the singles collection. This came out in the mid-80s, 85. Definitely looks 80s, doesn't it? And this is a 2 LP set of a collection of singles from the Immediate label. The name that first popped out to me was Le Fleur de Lis, if that's how you pronounce it. And Duncan Brown and Billy Nichols makes an appearance on here. And Small Faces, The Nice, you know, some of the bigger names, John Mayall and Savoy Brown. So they're kind of split up into 4 different themes here. 1 obviously being the most obvious, 2 the rarest of the rare, 3 the Jimmy Page productions and sessions, and then 4 is like the British boom at the time, the British blues rock. So obviously the rarest of the rare piques my interest the most with Mockingbirds, which is actually pre-10cc, with You Stole My Heart, Duncan Brown on the Bomb Site. It's a cool inclusion there. And then Billy Nichols, Would You Believe, is featured there as well. The sound quality of this as a whole isn't that impressive. I don't know if it was an early digital transfer or something, but not the best fidelity, I have to say, on some tracks. Some do sound pretty good, but the Billy Nichols one seemed a little too bright and, you know, in your face. Maybe it was transferred from the actual 45 or something and had an early digital process. I'm not sure, because I think it does mention about how they transferred it somewhere in the notes. But you got Fifth Avenue as well, which is pretty good. And then Circles, classic UK freak beat music. You got Gatefold here. You got Nico, P.P. Arnold, Chris Farlow, and Rod Stewart. So this was pretty cheap, like $5. So just something fun to have, you know, listen to. Then I stopped down at a antique shop this past Friday. I hadn't been there in a while. The Timeless Treasures on O Street. And oftentimes don't come out of there with much, but I've certainly found some gems for cheap in there, some great singles in the past. And this first one, this is a single that had no clue what it was till I looked it up, and looked like it had some rep online, so, you know, I might clean it up a little bit and sell it. But this is Make Me Feel It by Tucker Brothers Plus. I don't know if that's focusing in or not, it doesn't look like it, but that's what it is. Don't know the year on this one. Sounds like, I think someone said online 76 in one of the videos in the comment section. And then the flip side, Love Never Fails. Actually really 2 solid tracks for what they are. Not really up my alley. They're more kind of synthy, you know, pre-disco kind of funk sounds going on here. But pretty tasteful, I should say. I mean, it's pretty good though for what it is. Looks like they're selling for about maybe $50 on Discogs, so, you know, pick it up. And it was $1, so. And then this was a nice surprise. So they kind of reorganized this area sort of by the posters and the VHS tapes and stuff, and I had never seen them this spread it out. But they had a whole classic rock section, and I think I've seen the same seller, whoever it is, always bringing in some inventory. And I don't know how long this had been sitting there, but I was kind of shocked by the price. I mean, it's still pretty affordable in the US. They're kind of going for about $20 or so, but this was $6. Dando Shaft, UK based folk rock band. You know, kind of comparable to like Fairport Convention, the Pentangle, all in that same era, that same area. And it's on the Neon label, RCA Neon. I think someone wrote on here, pretty good. The disc is very good though, despite a little bit of a rough cover. But I've been actually kind of looking for this, and I've never seen them at the shops. I think I may have spotted a copy at a record show one time. But a really nice disc actually. It's got the Dynaflex. Got to be careful with those. And I think it's a promotional copy too, because it's got the sticker on the corner here. See that? So yeah, Dando Shaft. I hadn't listened to this in a while, but Sometimes is a big highlight off of here. That's the one that I really enjoy. Sometimes and Whispering Ned. Side 2, a little fuzzy for me. I need to revisit this, but definitely one I've been after for a while. Love that artwork, the whole gatefold design. Looks like something you would see on almost like a Vertigo album or something. Those kind of really wide camera shots of like the band, and then some like, you know, some sort of setup here with the photography. Broken down carnival ride. Love it, man. So that'll do it for now. Thanks again for joining me this Sunday. It's going to be a warm week, so I'm going to probably stay indoors for a while, and might be a good time to push out some more Acid Archive Diaries. I definitely have a list lined up here, so I think we're going to be at number 20 next, so stick around for that. And until next time, take care. We'll see you soon.